Hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday. I'm excited to be leading a workflow QuickBooks Online discussion today. We're talking about customer deposits, and we're going to spend most of the time in product as usual. Always what I do. If you guys have any questions, I will try to get to the questions at the end. I'm going to go through this hopefully pretty quickly and hopefully have some time towards the end, but I always overtalk. So, all right, just as a reminder of who Fourlane is, so we are focused on getting data to make decisions. Talking about customer deposits today is part of that, right? A lot of times people keep track of these things offline. They do not keep track of them inside of QuickBooks, and that is not great. If you have to do anything offline and not as part of the system, then there's opportunity for disconnect. There is not the opportunity to have data available at your fingertips. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So customer deposits, what are they? When would you potentially have these? We see these a lot with, so what happens, right, is you have a customer, they're going to do, I have a customer that did custom seat covers, right, for vehicles. They did custom seat covers, and every single one of them was custom. And so what they would do is they would send a quote out to the customer. It's going to cost $1,000, let's just say. And they would say, customer would say, yes, in order for us to move forward with doing the project, creating the custom seat cover for you, we do require a deposit. Right? Because that's us, that's your way of telling us, yes, we agree with what we're purchasing and we want you to go do that work. Because of course, if I do something custom for you and then you decide that you don't want to buy it, then I've already done the work and it's custom. So can't really sell that again. Can't really undo. So I have my loss of materials up front. So customer deposit. Other areas we see that a lot, of course, is we'll see it with in construction, right? We'll see several deposits along the way. If people have deliverable-based deposits, we'll see that. We'll see it in sometimes with like we have a telephone company. They do some kind of cell phone tracking stuff for other people, and they take a customer deposit of $100 for every account that they're monitoring, and then they gradually release against that deposit over the course of the contract, over the course of the year. So anyway, lots of different ways we see customer deposits. And now we're going to talk about how we set this up. So I'm going to go into the QuickBooks Online Advanced sample file. Now, I've never done this with you guys. Usually I do this in my own file, but I thought it would be really great for you to see. So I just went into Google and I typed in QuickBooks Online sample file. What's great about this, most of our clients have a sandbox environment that they work in, right, which is a replica of their database, but in a separate database where they can play around. So that's something to consider doing. If you haven't done that, we can help you with that for sure. But if you're just trying to play around without your data and just see like, what does QuickBooks do? This is a great way to do it. So QuickBooks Online sample file. And then when I click into this article from Intuit, there's, I clicked into the Canadian one, I guess. There are two options. There is just the regular QuickBooks, which would be Essentials or Plus, or there's QuickBooks Online Advanced sample file. So I always function in Advanced because it is the best way for you to see everything that's possible, and also the best way to know, do I actually have to have QuickBooks Online Advanced, or can I do this in one of the other editions? Oh, great. Of course, now when I'm trying to do this, it's going to tell me no. Let's try one more time. Yep, I'm not a robot. If it doesn't let me for some reason today, this afternoon, since I ran through this morning, then I'll just log into my own file. Always fun. There we go. Okay, Craig's Design Landscaping Services. This is the sample company. same company file. Okay, and I am going to actually back out of the slide deck so that it does not interrupt our flow here. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to set up a customer deposit account in the chart of accounts. That's always the first step, is where is anything that we're going to do as far as workflow, where is it going to reside? So when we come into our chart of accounts, I am going to do a new account, and this is going to be an other current liability. Okay, so the reason it is an other current liability is generally customer deposits, we are going to refund or relieve the balance within a year. You're not holding them for a long period of time. So if you are holding them for more than a year, it would be long-term liability. The other reason that it's a liability is the idea is, so let's say the customer came to us and they said, I'd like this custom car seat cover, and here's your $500. And then the next day they said, oh, I'm sorry, I want to cancel that order and I need my $500 back. That is potentially a liability, right? We may have to pay the customer back, or let's say we come back around and we say, oh, we cannot deliver your custom car cover, then we would be having to refund that money. So we're going to create a liability, and we can put it under other, save under other current liabilities. The tax form section, there isn't any really great options in here, right? So you would be choosing other current liabilities, and then we can call it customer deposits. You don't have to put a description in here. We never use starting date and opening balance when we set up any accounts in QuickBooks, so bypass that. And then we can go ahead and say save. Okay, so now that new account is created. The second thing that we want to do is that we want to create a new item. I always recommend pushing these things through items, because on our invoices, as an example, if or our estimates, we're going to be selling them a custom car car seat cover. That is going to be an item. And so I'd like the deposit, which you'll see here in a minute, to show up as an item right under that as well. So we're going to set up a new item. This is going to be, some people put it in as non-inventory or service. It really doesn't matter. They have the same effects here of which one you put it in as. So if I choose service, and I'm going to call it customer deposit again. Okay, you can put in a SKU if you choose to. We can put it into a different category if we want to, but most of the time this would be something like overhead or other items or something like that. You do sell this to your customers, and again, you can put in, and maybe you require 50% deposit, so you can put that number in there if you want to. We want to leave the sales and rate blank, because it's going to vary, and you can't put in like a negative 50% or anything like that. So you just leave it blank. And then when it comes over to the income account, even though it says income account here, we are going to put this to customer deposits. Okay, so even though it says income account on this, the reason it says income account is most of the time our income item, or income when we sell items, is going to hit an income account, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't limit you. The system doesn't limit you to only be able to sell to an income account. This is something that QuickBooks does that not all other software does. Sometimes if it says income account in the system, you are posting it to an income account. And then if you want it reflected somewhere else, you have to do that when you build your report. So QuickBooks does something cool there. Now, I have had clients also choose to put, I'm purchasing, right, and put it somewhere else, because basically they never wanted to show up in a purchase transaction. So they'll say, if I purchase it, put it to an account called take a look at this, or like ask my accountant or whatever. Because if somebody ever does put this item on a purchase type transaction, I want to know and be able to hunt it down. If I just check off the sales portion of it, right, whether it's on an income, a sales type transaction, an invoice, a sales receipt, or if it's on a bill, a check, it will all flow through customer deposit. Okay. Which I'm going to show you how we're going to reconcile customer deposit. So we would still find it, but you're going to have to do some work to find it. Okay, so I have my item set up now. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an estimate. Okay. So in our new button up here, I'm going to go into estimates. I'm just going to choose an existing customer because it'll make it easier for me. You guys don't need to go through customer setup. So we're just going to go ahead and choose cool cars because we're selling a car seat cover. And then down here in the products and services, you're going to put in what they're buying, right? So I'm just going to say design for now, and it's 21 of $10,000. Okay. And then on the next line, I'm going to reflect on here customer deposit of negative $5,000. Okay, so half of it. And then say save. So with this estimate, what we're saying is telling customer, what we're able to tell them is we're saying custom design, right? This is $10,000. This is what you're going to owe me in total for this project. And the customer deposit is $5,000. And I'll show you why we do it like this when we have this estimate flow through. But here is our estimate. Then the next step is hopefully we are taking payment for that $5,000 down payment right away. Some of my clients have to send it off and say like it as a receivable. So you have to pay me $5,000 within 7 days or something like that. If you're taking payment right away, what you would be using is you would be using a sales receipt. If you are giving the customer a couple of days to pay you, then you would be needing to do this next step as an invoice. Okay, and so let me show you both. So sales receipt is I'm taking payment now. So I'm going to say I have cool cars. I am taking payment for customer deposit, and they paid me $5,000. I like to use tab usually, but I'm trying to get through this faster. Okay. The sales receipt is I do not have a payment. I mean, I'm taking payment immediately. So we're going to do a second estimate. We're going to do it for another company. So Bill's Windsurf Shop, and we're going to do a design here of $2,500. And we're going to do a customer deposit of negative $1,250. I don't know. Oh, I marked them as taxable. I should have. I did this when I ran through it this morning too. I should have marked it as not taxable. The customer deposit should not be a taxable item. I skipped over that. Sorry about that. Let me say save. Now we pretend that this one, we're going to give them a couple of days to pay us. So then I'm going to go in and create an invoice to Bill's Surf Shop, Bill's Wind Surf Shop for customer deposit of $1,250. All right. Now you also have the option, so let's say maybe you did a 50% deposit and then you also required an additional 25%. So I can also go and say, okay, well, Bill's Wind Surf Shop, I need to do another customer deposit for another $1,000. And then what's left is just the $250 that they owe me. You do have that option to do multiple payments as well. Of course, you'd want to change this 50% and all the things. All right, so when I created the estimate is a non-posting transaction. It didn't affect anything. When I did the sales receipt and the invoice, right, then that is how that affected my balance in my register for the customer deposit balance. So let's go look in our chart of accounts, and we need to go down to the customer deposit account. Oops, where are my other current liabilities here? And click on View Register. And so you can see the estimates do not affect this account, but the invoices do, right? So right now, this account has increased for all of those different things that we put in here. It has increased for all of those, okay? And in a balance sheet account, right, especially something like this, which should be a clearing account, we're looking for the increase, and then we're looking for the offsetting decrease, right? So how do we get to that? So I'm going to go into Cool Cars, okay, and open up their estimate that we worked on. And now we say, okay, we finished the project. Everything is done. I am ready to invoice for the final bill, right? Invoice for this from this estimate. So I go ahead and create an invoice from here, right? And the nice part about this is I don't even have to think about it because it tells me right on there, your client had a customer deposit. Now you can go verify in the customer deposits account if they have a customer deposit as well, but hopefully you have it set up and flowing the right way where you're trusting your system to say, I know that when I charge $10,000, I know I have a 50% customer deposit on account. But when I create the invoice for this, that is going to be the relief in my customer deposit account. So I say save. Now this client, if I go look at this client, it's going to show that they owe me $5,000, right? Not the full $10,000 because they already had paid me $5,000 on that sales receipt. Now I have $5,000 left open that I'm going to have to collect on. If I go back to my chart of accounts and I look at my customer deposit register, now you can see I have the increases, right, that we saw before, but I also have a decrease now. So I have an offset. So the net ending balance of this account right now, I have no balance for Cool Cars. I only have a balance for Bill's Wind Surf Shop. Okay, now I'm going to create a report. Reports are key when it comes to any of this stuff, right? You don't want to have to, especially if you're doing 50% down payments all day long. You can't just come in and look at the register all the time. So what we want to get to, what the goal of setting this up is to get to a report. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a new report. Okay, so I'm going to go down to reports and say create new. Now you guys get to see, hopefully I wrote down all the steps here. Hopefully I don't stumble around because it is a little bit different creating a report here than in other places. So we are going to start by adding columns. When I create my report, start by adding columns because I'm just saying I want no influence. I want to create my own report. So when I create my own report, I'm going to first come in and add which columns I want to add to the report. So the first one is account name. Okay. And when we say account name, we're talking about the chart of accounts account name. So I want to add chart of accounts account name. We want to add cleared status, and we want to add the cleared status. You can see there's different cleared statuses. I'm adding the cleared status from the transaction line. Because what I want to see is I want to see the transaction line and what's happening. Then I want to add the customer name. Customer name. And same thing, I'm adding the customer name from the transaction line. Oh, why is it not picking up my, let's see, this year? Okay, well, then keep going and see if it'll fix itself. Okay, and then I want to pick up the posting status. It's not showing the transaction details. So, and I want to check up the posting status from the transaction line. You can also pick that up from the transaction. And then I want the amounts line from the invoice. Here we go. Now we've got it. Okay. So I have the account name, which account are we hitting? I have if it's cleared or not. I have the customer name, posting status, and amount line. Now, if you want to create filters on a custom report, you have to add it to the report first, then you can filter it out. So I want to filter for account name equals customer deposits because I just want to see what's in the customer deposits. Okay. Then I want to add a filter for posting status equals yes. Okay. Then I want to add a filter for cleared status equals uncleared. And then I'm going to save my report. Always a report name. So customer deposits. Oops, why did it? Customer deposit report. Say save. Okay. So I've saved it and I can modify it from here. So right now what it's showing me is it's showing me, oh, I know why. Okay. Because what I did, I made a mistake. See, here we go. I did the invoice line item amount and we had sales receipts. Right? So I can't do invoice line item amount. I have to, so come into amount line and uncheck invoice amount line and instead check transaction amount line. There we go. Now you have to choose transaction amount line because I used multiple transactions. Now it shows correctly. So I have all of these details in here. Okay. Now the last step that I want to do, because this is just looks like the check register, so not super helpful. The last step that I want to do though is group, and I want to group by customer name, and then say save. Okay. So by grouping by customer name, I can see that, oh, Cool Cars doesn't have any outstanding balances in my customer deposit account. Bill's Windsurf Shop does. Right? So pretty neat there. So now I know Cool Cars is a wash. Where I want to get to even further than this is I don't really want to see Cool Cars. Cool Cars had a customer deposit and they relieved their customer deposit by creating an invoice. I don't want to see that on here at all. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to go into my, oops, over here, reconciliation. Okay. And I am going to, let's get reconciled. I feel like that should be like a song. I'm going to choose which account I want to reconcile, and I'm going to reconcile my customer deposit account. Now, I know you think about reconciliation, you think, oh, it's like a bank account. I'm going to reconcile my bank account. That's not what this is. When you are reconciling a clearing account on your balance sheet, like an in and an out, you always reconcile it to 0. So ending balance should always be 0. And truthfully, I don't care what the ending date is. Most people do it at the end of the month. You can do it once a week if you have a lot of customer deposits flowing through. Some of my customers do it once a week. So we're going to say start reconciling. It has all of the different pop-ups, right? So don't show this again. Thank you. It has all the different deposits, everything that we saw on the other screen. You can come in here and sort by, right? And what I do a lot of times with my clients is I will have them open on their other screen the reconciliation report, the customer deposit reconciliation report, so that it's easier for them to do this reconciliation. So they'll come into their reports, go to their custom reports, and we have our customer deposit report. And because it has on here, right, I can collapse it down and show, oh, cool cars should net out. So when I'm looking through my reconciliation, I don't have to pay attention to the numbers very much. I just know I can click off everything cool cars because they net out to 0. And then I can say finish. So when my customers are doing this, they're checking off multiples, right? They're showing the in and the out, in and the out, in and the out. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and say finish now because it reconciles. Yay. So now that it's been reconciled, when I go back to my report in my customer deposits report, I only have left on this report what is open because I'm showing only things that are uncleared or unreconciled. All right. That's how to do customer deposits in QuickBooks Online. If you guys have any questions, I can hang out here for a minute. Oh, wait, before I do that, here's what's coming up. So we're going to talk about web store clearing next week. Web store clearing is if you have a web store account, getting cash in your bank, multiple transactions happening through your web store. How do you reconcile that? What's the best way? We're going to do some bank reconciliations, tips and tricks, some troubleshooting, how to connect to a bank, all things accounts receivable, estimates, prepaids, job costing, work in process. You can see some of these things down here. How to do a backup and restore, how to have that sandbox that we were talking about earlier. Somebody asked me about that last week. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. If you need anything, you have my email address here, and I will see you next week. Thank y'all.